So kind of in that spirit, I wanted to move through some developmental movement patterns. My idea is we'll move through a little life in the next hour or so, and then we'll die again, and then we'll keep going about our day and about our life. So I wanted to begin lying down in a full shavasana if that's comfortable. So you can let your feet have a little bit of space between them. Bring your palms to face up towards the ceiling. Allow your chest to broaden and make any adjustments so that you feel really grounded into the floor. And if you find that it might be better to have the feet flat on the floor and the knees bent, that might bring a little bit more kind of sense of presence with the low back on the floor and the sacrum, and that might feel even more grounding. Also, to have the skin of the feet touching the floor can be a little more grounding, supportive in that way. So you're just finding where you're touching the floor. So good to see you, Anisha. See you soon. See you soon. So notice where you're touching the floor. And just notice how your breath is moving. So this is kind of the first thing that we experience before we start moving. First, we connect to this sense of just being and just breathing. If you think about like an amoeba in the ocean or some like single cell organism long ago, evolutionarily, whatever, this image of just the simple act of being. And just notice your environment here, the environment that's around you, what you're noticing, sounds or other things you can perceive. And you have a choice here. You're not really moving that much here. You can choose to either continue to allow your breath to be natural and easy without any control over it, or you might choose here to bring in some vritti or some pattern of breath where you are being a little bit more mindful and crafty about your breath, inviting it into a particular rhythm. But still with just the spirit of just being, of this breath, even if it's in some sort of pattern, that it's very simple, that you're not doing anything. As we've talked about and noticed before, to say that you are the breather doesn't really align with what it feels like to be breathing. Maybe you are deciding how long the breath is, or you have some sort of visualization, but this actual exchange with the atmosphere is a process that's way beyond your control as you know. You might feel that even if you're breathing in a certain pattern, you are being breathed. And on your next inhalation, you can slide your limbs into a big starfish. So you can bring your hands out to the sides, maybe even up. You can spread the legs a little wider, like you're making a snow angel or something, and just feel this radiation out of the center. Stretching the limbs away from center. And as you exhale, pull all 6 of your limbs in, your 2 arms, your 2 legs, your head, and your tail. You're coming to something like Appanasana, squeezing everything in towards the middle. Once again, with an inhalation, expand out into like a big starfish, flat on the floor. Notice the space you're reaching into or the textures that you end up touching along the way. And then as you exhale, gather everything in. Perhaps noticing now the place around the navel where the breath is drawing in and where it feels like all the energy is kind of drawing in. Once more with this kind of pattern, inhaling to become big, taking up all of the space, and then exhaling to gather in. And then you can just stay here in Appanasana, maybe rocking side to side. Feeling the sense that you're gathering in to your own space. So I'm drawing on the study of developmental movement patterns for this little sequence, which is just the study of how we move and how we like develop movement through our lives. And there's also little kind of allusions maybe to like other animals or other kind of lives we might have had. But as you're squeezing your knees in towards your chest and you're breathing here, you might even bow your face in towards your chest or towards your heart space. There's this feeling of like, this is me, this is my space here. I'd like to invite you now to inhale here in this gathered in place. And then as you exhale, become big, like a big wide starfish. You might even open your mouth as you exhale. You could even stick out your tongue. And then inhale to become small and draw in towards the center, finding here's where I am, here's my center. Exhale to become big and wide and huge. Almost like you're spreading out and pushing your energy out into space. And then one more time, just inhale coming in. And exhaling to come out. It's one of the first relationships that we learn. It's like, this is me and this is not me. This whole room is all the other stuff around me, spatially, of course, physically. And then you can hug your knees in towards your chest and roll to one side. And just come to a comfortable seat. And notice here in your seat where you're touching the floor, what it feels like to be sitting on whatever you're sitting on. And I'd like to open with sound, maybe kind of expressing that feeling of internal space and then external space. So we'll inhale and then we'll draw up sound through the center the centered channel of the body, will kind of vibrate the sound out. Yeah. So if you bring your palms together, you might meet the skin of your palms to the skin of your other palm. And just notice the sense of containment. And then we'll create sound from this kind of container. We'll inhale. And let's come to hands and knees, please. So you're creating a tabletop shape, as you've done many a time, but here really press into your hands and press into your feet, whether it's the tops of your feet or your tucked toes. And notice this, the Sushumna Nadi that runs now horizontally from the pelvic floor through the crown of the head. So you'll find that the chin tucks in a little bit. And as you move through cat and cow now, inhaling to cow and exhaling to cat, see if you can originate this movement from the tail. So draw your attention towards the tailbone or the perineum. And on the inhalation, feel that start to lift up towards the sky. The rest of the spine follows. And then as you exhale, you're tucking the tail first to let the rest of the spine round. And this might feel familiar, or it might feel kind of like a physical kind of tongue twister. Sometimes some of us, and we'll try it the other way too, but starting a movement from the tail versus starting it from the head is kind of interesting. And then maybe you kind of just shift your focus to the crown of your head and allow the crown of your head to lead the movement. In other words, as you inhale, the head wants to look up, the gaze wants to look up, the rest of the spine follows. As you exhale, the crown of the head looks towards the floor, the chin tucks, the rest of the spine follows. Moving back and forth this way. Yeah. And then coming back to a tabletop, find your really strong tabletop once again with your feet and hands supporting you. And reach your tailbone towards the back of the room. So take any kind of like softness or floppiness out of the low back and extend the tailbone towards the back of the room so that the whole back body is nice and supportive. There might even be a sense of like the navel pulling in slightly. Not like a sucking in, but more like just an awakeness and aliveness. And then with the hands on the floor, start to move forward and back, reaching with the crown of your head and then with the tail. It's a really simple movement. Just reaching forward with the head and forward with the and back with the tail. Excuse me. So you're kind of shifting forward and back. The elbows remain straight. You're maybe feeling how the weight shifts over the palms and over the legs as you move forward and back. Good. And then tuck both of your feet underneath you so you come to a plank and reach forward with the head and back with the tail. And you can create like a small, or I guess it's a bigger, I don't know if this is bigger or smaller, but a similar movement in any case, a similar movement forward and back, just reaching the crown of the head forward and the heels back, kind of rocking in a plank a little bit. And then lower the knees to the floor. Bend your elbows in towards your body. Come all the way down. Good. And with your hands on the floor near your chest, start to lift the heart forward into a little cobra as you reach the elbows back. Little cobra, and then exhale to come down. So you're reaching forward and up with the heart, maybe looking forward and using your hands to press, using the tops of your feet to press. Just a few times, and then you can press back to press back to Balasana first, why not? In Balasana, you might go ahead and bring your hands alongside you so that your fingertips reach towards the back of the room, and rest your forehead on something comfy, whether it's the floor or maybe a block or a pillow or something. Just letting the spine round. Nice. As you inhale, you'll bring your hands out in front of you, and we'll lead with the head to come up to fours. So as you inhale, filling up with breath, let the crown of your head reach forward until you kind of bring the rest of yourself up. And then as you exhale, tuck the tail and move yourself back into Balasana with the tailbone leading. And then you might want to bring your eyes into this experience. So try looking first with the head and look with your eyes forward. And let that looking forward lead you up. Just feel what that feels like. And then likewise, you look down and back kind of into your own space, you round back into child's pose. Yeah. Yeah. And then the next time that you are down in child's pose, look forward with your eyes and just slither the heart forward till you come to lie on your belly once again. Kind of like a weird little worm, just kind of worm yourself forward and coming to be on your belly now. And come on up to your forearms. You can hang out for here in a little bit in Sphinx pose. So press your tops of your feet into the floor. Press your tailbone towards your heels so that you feel like the low belly is engaged, the lower back is supported and protected. And then you can press into your hands, press into your arms, and feel this space across the shoulders and across the chest. So you're avoiding like collapse in the neck, and you're using your arms to press into the floor. You're almost like pulling your arms back. And you're breathing here, just noticing what that feels like. You know, isn't that a thing when, I don't know, I haven't spent that much time around babies, but isn't it a thing when the baby is able to come up like this? It's like, woo, holy shit. I guess Mia, you know more about this, probably. But there's something, this is a part of movement development where all of a sudden you're a baby, you're just like, someone put you here, someone's like put you on the ground, and then you get curious about, Yeah, and then you can, let's all try that. You can bring your hands to the ground, like some rude adult just kind of like dropped you here, and you're like, well, what am I supposed to do here? Then with your eyes, take a peek and just notice what the room looks like from around here. And then with your hands, find a way to come up into some kind of like, yes, tummy time for us adults. Find a way with your hands to come up into kind of like a sloppy, weird sphinx / up dog, something like that. You're using your hands to press yourself up and you're like, oh my God, there's more stuff. And then you can look around. You can bend an elbow or straighten it. You can kind of like find out where you are in space. Yeah. And then you can just come back down, rest your hands on the ground. You can rest your forehead on your hands. Bend your knees and maybe windshield wipe your knees side to side. Nice. And then just come back to center. So you're back lying down. This time bring your hands alongside your chest and we'll come into a proper kind of cobra pose, but with the spirit of that baby who's exploring the world from down here. So press into the tops of your feet, reach your elbows back in space, and start to press with the hands, press with the tops of the feet, and notice that as you press down, you come up. Wow. It's like we take this for granted, but this is like new information. Whoa, maybe you come up to upward facing dog. And you're like, whoa, if I press more with my hands, I come up more with the heart. Whoa, and I can actually like rotate this head on top and look around. And then you can tuck your toes underneath you, send your hips up and back to downward facing dog with the knees bent. Spreading the fingers, pressing with the feet. And you're welcome to come to child's pose for a moment and just breathe there. And in downward facing dog, you might bend and straighten one leg and then the other. And then spread your fingers really wide, press down and forward with the hands. Bend the knees so you can bring the hips even higher up into the sky. And then start to sink the heels down into the air or into a blanket or into the floor. And for now, you can let the head and neck go. And then walk your feet towards your hands to come to Uttanasana, standing forward bend. And let's walk the hands back in line with the feet. Here, you can really feel this pattern or this kind of awareness of lower body. Let's call the lower body like the legs and the feet. And then the upper body, the torso, the head, the neck, the arms. Notice how the lower body here is supporting you. The upper body can release. Yeah. Your lower body is pressing, your feet are pressing into the floor, and your upper body is yielding down, cascading down over the legs. Just notice how there's different effort here in the upper body and the lower body. It's different from being like a starfish who just has their limbs out and is chilling in that way. This is noticing that you can use different parts of the body for different things. And then bring your hands to the floor or blocks, and you'll step the left leg back so that you're in a lunge. So you're in this lunge. You can lower the back knee down and press into both feet to come upright. And it might be nice to have a little heart opening happen here. So find your strong, sturdy support through the legs. Even a sense of like gathering the front heel towards the back knee or the back foot. And then from there, inhale and reach the arms up into like a V shape. Inhale here once again, extending through the fingers. Exhale, bring the elbows out to the sides. So you're like, yeah. Then you can breathe here a few breaths, just breathing up into the chest. Maybe there's some other shape you want to take. You could like interlace fingers or do whatever you want to do. You could make a frame on top of your head and kind of stretch the armpits open. So all the while that you're extending and expanding in the upper body, feel how you're grounded through the feet, through the legs. And notice what could soften here. Great, and then you'll just bring your hands back down to frame your front foot. Tuck your back foot toes if they're not already, and lift that back knee up and step back to downward facing dog. In downward dog, sorry, I'm like geeking finding all of these parallels. This is when you realize that there's sort of two halves of the body. So you might notice here this line of energy from the tail to the head that kind of then goes down the other side, like down between the legs and lands beyond between the heels. So you're like making this triangle sort of shape. So you've got your right side and your left side. And then you can step the left side forward. All of a sudden, the left side is doing something different from the right side. And come to a lunge with the left leg forward. And then lower the back knee down. This is the right side, right? I mean the correct side. Yeah, okay. And then you can come up in this lunge. Finding that stability through the legs. Reaching up with the arms into a V shape. Feeling you press down from like the navel down, you're spreading down into the floor. From the navel up, you're opening up to the ceiling. You're able to use your two halves of your body for different things. Then you can bend the elbows to open up, like you're pulling the elbows apart, bringing the shoulder blades together, opening the chest. And breathing into that space up here. Yeah, you can grab opposite elbows and make a frame above your head and breathe into that space that you're creating, this space for energy to flow up into this space that for a lot of us is kind of locked in a little bit. And then you can lower your hands down when you're ready and step back to downward facing dog. And then we'll do one more. Well, I can't promise that. Let's do, I was going to say only one more like nerdy kind of movement thing, but that's probably not true. So here in downward facing dog, you might explore bending your right knee quite dramatically, and then bending your left knee just as dramatically. And allow this to travel up into the hips so that your dog is having like a little prowl side to side. So when we're developing our ability to move, this is like the more advanced thing that we finally learn, is that there's this kind of cross lateral movement that's possible from side to side. And then if you want to, just for fun, you could step your right foot forward and your left hand forward. And then step your left foot forward and your right hand forward. And start to crawl like a little, whatever animal you want to be. And you could step back. But you're using the opposite hand as foot. It's kind of fun. I don't know. You can make weird animal noises. That's a complex movement. That's like pretty cool. Okay. That takes in, and it's kind of like a tongue twister thing to coordinate in that way. Nice. And then when you're finished exploring, you can just come back to a regular downward facing dog. Lower the knees down and come back to Balasana, child's pose. And then here you are back in this kind of contained space. Just noticing whatever you notice. Nice, and come to sit up. So you can walk yourself to sit up. So you're kind of kneeling. And as you're seated, you could sit on your heels or sit on a block or something and bring your hands to your thighs. And tucking your chin in towards your throat, notice that up and down energy once again. And here in stillness, you might just notice the potential for all of any movement. The body that you're in is in a stage of development now where you could choose to go up, down, side, side. Without even trying to, you understand that you can look to the side and let the rest of the body follow. In fact, you could open your eyes and just try that, looking over one shoulder and noticing that the rest of the spine kind of follows. You could try the other way too, where you look and you don't let the body follow. Yeah. Great. And then come to sit when you're ready on the floor. And we'll take either a cross-legged seat or like a Gomukhasana type situation. And let's, just for my sanity, let's do the left knee on top or the left shin in front, so I can say right and left and be correct. So the left knee is on top if you're in Gomukhasana, the left shin is in front if you're in Sukhasana. And find a way to sit tall here. And bring your left fingertips out to the floor on the side of you. And reach up really long and tall through the right armpit, through the right fingertips. And we'll take a twist towards your left. So bringing then the left hand behind you, the right hand can come like on the other side of your knee. Notice how you're still tall, up and down. And there's a sense that you're twisting around that center column of energy. You're moving around that space. And let the head and the jaw be soft. If you choose to look back over your back shoulder, that's cool. Just be sure that it's not stressing out the jaw or the neck in any way. Inhale to unwind. We'll change the cross of the legs. So either bringing the other shin in front or bringing the other knee on top. So it'll be the right on top or in front. Find a way to sit up tall here. Bring now your right fingertips out to the side. Reach up as tall as you can through the left fingertips. And now as you twist towards your right, just notice that place that you are twisting around. You can kind of drop your mind into just awareness of that center column that runs from the crown of your head to the pelvic floor, right down there, the base of your seat. You might trace that column of energy in your awareness. You could start maybe at the base of your seat and just notice that column. You might see it as like a beam of light is a nice image, or whatever image you want to use, but just see if you can feel it traveling up through the center of the body. And there might be spots where it's really clear. You can really feel where that is. And there might be places along the way that feel a little bit more kind of unclear or blocked off or whatever. And just noticing that. And allowing it to extend now through the crown of your head up to infinity and beyond, and below you through the seat, down, down, down. So it's a continuum. You're just on one kind of part of it. And then unwind. Great. And let's change the legs back just for fun. Changing the legs back. You might notice that it's better to come into Sukhasana on this side or better to come to Gomukhasana. Sorry, not sorry, we're doing my favorite thing. We're going to reach our arms out to the sides. And then please just give yourself a hug now with the right elbow on top and the left elbow underneath. So it's the opposite elbow on top as the shin that's in front or the knee that's on top. And if you know me, we're going to go into like a little shoulder opener, but I'd like you to notice this first step. really and truly feel into this space where you are holding the heart space in your own kind of embrace. You might close your eyes here and just notice breath moving in the space that you're holding. Allow your belly to be soft, allow your face to be soft. And just notice what is here. It doesn't have to be something like profound, but you might notice some sort of something, some flavor. And all you're doing is just giving it some attention. I feel like why we like Halloween and like why we like Dia de los Muertos is like this sense of like welcoming in, like Chandra said, like welcoming these spooky, weird things. And the way we're allowed to, it's like this time when we're allowed to welcome this stuff. So if there's something spooky and weird in your shoulder girdle or in your heart space, you might just notice it and be like, today's a great day for you to be here. We're actually celebrating today. And if you want to get real creepy, you could bring the backs of your hands together out in front of you, coming to like a Garudasana type arms, reaching the elbows forward as you bring your shoulder blades down the back. So you have this tension as the elbows move forward, the shoulder blades are still on the back. The back of the neck is still long, the jaw is soft. Your gaze is looking right through your forearms as if you could see through the bones. And you're breathing in and out of that space between the shoulder blades. There's more and more research and like, acknowledgement being made of the way that trauma lives in the body and the way that just any experience leaves an impression on the body, and how those experiences travel across time and space in a really crazy way. And I feel like a lot of that stuff gets stuck in these holding patterns because, of course, got to put it somewhere. So as you're breathing in and out of the shoulders, just notice whatever you're noticing. And release the hands. Nice. And we'll come into a little forward fold here, just walking the hands forward, coming to forearms or coming to a block. And if it's better again to be in Sukhasana, that's great too. Just taking a little forward fold / hips opener. And you might bring the palms together or bring the palms to touch the floor, so that you have a sense of grounding here. And as you bow your head down, there might be a sense of surrender, of giving over to this moment, giving over to some chosen ideal or some image of some ideal. It's just started to rain. You can just let yourself be bowing to whatever you're bowing to, be giving over to whatever there is to give over to. knowing that you're safe and knowing that you're contained, knowing that those are your palms that you can feel pressing each other. Those are your palms on your floor, like you are held here. And then when you're ready, you can come on up. And we'll change the cross of the legs. It might be nice for a moment to just bring the legs out straight or kind of like whatever. And then you'll come to the other cross. So now I believe your right knee is on top or right shin is in front. So when you're ready, coming to this other cross and finding a way to sit up tall here. We'll reach the arms out wide. Feeling this width across the front of the chest and the backs of the shoulders. Feeling the back of the sacrum and the back of the head leaning against some invisible support behind you. So you're as wide and as long as you can be. And then you'll cross with the left elbow coming over the right. And just give yourself a nice embrace here. Tucking the chin, maybe a sense of looking down into that space that you're holding. And just notice whatever you're noticing. If you'd like to invite this image, you might give this hug to some other person or some other presence. You might hug with yourself with some other presence. What I've been noticing as I'm thinking about ancestors and family, just the fact that they do exist, like that they're not in the past, that these people are not in the past. So it doesn't even have to be some presence that you can name. It could just be that you are holding some space for everybody, everything. All the selves that made you you, and all of the ancestors that made you you. If you want to, you can come into the Skaradasana arms and stretch out the backs of the shoulders. That sense of just inviting. I'm not being particularly eloquent today, but I've just been thinking a lot about just how it is no time and space. It is right now that the people that we put up on the altar in Dia de los Muertos it's the tradition of inviting them in. Put out food that they like, hoping that the spirit will go and come for the food. We put out stuff that's joyful, that they like, not that they liked, because that wouldn't make sense, We're playing the music that they like so that they will come and they will dance. Or we're putting out the food that they like, and then they're there to eat the food. And that it's not the people who died when they died, it's them as they were their whole story. Just the way that you are here now, and you contain that whole story of how you've been up until now, from your birth until now. Those people had that whole story as well. So it can be overwhelming, but to the extent that it's, kind of sweet for you, you could invite some of that presence in between the shoulder blades. And then you can unwind, let the hands come to your sides. Feeling you here now. And then you can come into a forward fold, resting your forearms on the ground or your hands on the ground, and maybe bringing yourself onto some kind of prop or support. Working your way into some kind of forward fold. Maybe there's a dog here you can just kind of use as a little bolster. Okay. And then I think it's really nice to notice where your hands are. As we fold into the hips, I mean, there's a lot there, and especially after opening the shoulders. So finding your hands on the floor, finding your hands touching one another can be really grounding, stabilizing. Thank you. And here you're once again coming back to this little seed, coming back to this sense of being contained, and this sense perhaps of potential. I was talking to just a wise person about my frustrations and my kind of hurt around people, about illness and death and old age and all these things. And specifically around parents, like when we start to lose parents in certain ways. And this person was like, they've just changed. They've just changed. How many times have you changed? And they still connected with you. Somebody gets sick or dies or something, and we feel like we can't connect with them anymore. She was like, they didn't think that when you changed from cute little baby to like a bratty little kid to, whatever. I'm just taking one more moment or two to just bow to that wisdom of all of these selves, us and everybody that we love, as we've all changed and will continue to change. And even when it's hard to accept that, just the truth that there's no going away, there's no change, there's just, changes. And when you come back up, just take a moment to notice whatever you notice. And we'll come to bring one leg out to the side and the other leg in towards the opposite thigh. So I have let's call this my left leg extended, my right leg in. You can sit down and pay attention. And maneuvering over any animals that might be here. We're going to actually turn the chest towards the bent knee, towards the super bent knee, the right side. Yeah. Taking a little twist in the upper body. And then we'll just kind of come into, you need to get out of my face, actually. I love you. Turning towards the bent knee, and then walking this hand down So your left hand is just inside of your left leg somewhere. And some of us, you might find your foot here. Some might find the forearm on the ground. Some of us might find like a straight arm with the palm pressing down. But the idea is to keep the right side still twisting to the right as you bring the left arm a little closer, and the left side body a little closer to that left leg. Getting the torso towards the leg doesn't really matter. Touching the foot doesn't really matter. Flex through that extended left foot. And then with the right hand, you can come up to the sky and maybe over. Tucking the chin in towards the throat so that the forehead stays taller than the nose, which is taller than the chin. And this can look so many ways. This could be just like a subtle twist and a reaching up towards the ceiling. It could be all the way to like where you can touch your hand with both, touch your foot with both hands. Who cares? So many expressions of just this opening of the right side. And then inhale to come back up. Release the jaw, release the neck, anything that might have kind of tightened. And you'll change your legs, bringing the right leg long, the left foot in. You'll turn the heart space towards that bent left knee. And then you'll creep that other hand as far as makes sense, the right hand. And then that top arm can come up, maybe that left hand can reach up towards the sky or maybe come over. Flex through the right foot so that the toes are pointing up towards the ceiling. To be honest with you, I forget what this shape is called, but it just is so like life. Like I feel like it's just so dynamic, all of these different directions. So just notice where you're reaching. All of these long lines, the arm, the leg, the spine. It's a side bend or twisting or kind of folding. Opening all this space now in the left lung and the left armpit and the left lower back. Inhale, come back to center. Perhaps feeling a little taller through both sides. And then you can make your way now to lie down on your backs. And I recommend bending the knees here and having the feet on the floor. Notice your feet on the floor. Notice the back of the sacrum on the floor. Feel the shoulder blades resting on the floor, moving kind of under your back. And with a little bit of space between the feet and between the knees, just reach your knees over to one side, keeping your feet where they are. So you'll maybe reach the knees towards the right. You'll roll onto the outside of the right foot and the inside of the left foot. That left arm, you could extend it out to the side or bend at the elbow, just feeling the left shoulder blade grounding into the floor. And then coming back up through center, pausing for a moment with both feet flat on the floor before moving over to the other side. So the knees maybe go to the left, the outer left foot and the inner right foot come to press into the floor. I should have said on the other side, but your top knee is probably hovering in space. That's cool. That's nice. You can even feel that top knee sort of reaching away from your shoulder across you. This sense of spreading out in two directions. And then come back to center. Squeeze both knees in towards your chest. Appanasana, you can hold the backs of the hamstrings or the fronts of the knees or shins. And then maybe move into happy baby, bending your knees, sending the soles of the feet up towards the ceiling and holding the outer edges of the feet. And you can let the elbows be long and straight, just kind of dangling down on the insides of your knees. Your knees are bent and you're driving your knees down towards the floor as your feet are reaching up towards the ceiling. And you could explore for a little while as this happy baby, as happy babies do, kind of moving from side to side. You might discover as you move over to one side, you move a little too far, and then all of a sudden you're on your side. That's kind of fun. And then you could come back up, opening up like a little book, and then go a little too far to the other side and come to roll onto the other side. If you feel, you might discover that you can roll kind of up into the side and then come up. Yeah, you might discover a Supta Upavishta Konasana with your legs out straight. This is playtime. Please play. Play as a little happy baby. I like to shift weight all the way to one side until I kind of come up to one side, and then it's like, whoa, and then you can kind of keep going and roll around. You might get stuck. Or maybe you're a very stoic little happy but stoic baby, and you're finding stillness. No less happy, just a little pensive, you know. And then finally you can come to rest in Shavasana. Or you could bring legs up the wall or legs up the something. Or you could just come to have your feet standing and your knees pointed up towards the ceiling. You'll come to some kind of resting place where your back body's on the floor. Just bring your awareness to the back body resting on the floor, noticing that you are supported completely. And then notice the front body. Notice that you can actually rest the front body back onto the back body. You can just melt like the chest and the belly and the hips, melting onto the back. Everything is resting back. Your brain, your kind of like seat of your mind can rest a little deeper back into your brain, the back of the head. You can let the eyeballs go back into the head. Notice the space in the low belly / upper kind of groin area. Especially if you have the knees bent or the legs up the wall, you can ask that place in the low belly, upper kind of groin region to release. Ask the fronts of the thighs if they might release a little bit. You might imagine that there's like a pool of water there around the hips, the kind of womb area. Regardless of your, anatomy, you're just feeling this sense of having this womb-like space, this creative space down here in the hips and low belly. Whatever image is inspiring to you. I like to notice water there, or like a quality of water. Maybe your pelvis is a nice big crystal bowl and you've got some sort of nice clear water in the bowl. It's just resting there. That bowl itself is resting on the floor. Yeah, the back of the pelvis is supported by the floor. And the belly, the thighs, all just water. Maybe this pool of water is a little higher, like up around your navel. And I'll invite you, if you want to go and stand by that water. Like there's a little you in the belly or in the pelvis area. There's a little you. Or maybe it's some other image, because that's you too. Maybe it's an image of something, someone that doesn't look like you. But the sense that it feels like that's you. You might recognize this little person, or maybe you don't. And it's like, oh, who are you? I guess you're me. So you're standing there by that water. Maybe you pick up a little pebble nearby that water. You can just drop it into the pool of water and watch as that pool starts to vibrate. Those ripples move out from where you dropped the pebble. The ripples ripple out to the sides. And I'll invite you to drop another pebble if you want to. Drop another pebble. This time you can let your lips fall open and let a soft, kind of easy, breathy sound come out. So that little you inside, standing by the water, will drop a pebble into the water. As it hits the surface of the water, that makes a sound. The pebble makes a sound. Huh. You can just plunk as many little pebbles into the water as you want and allow them to vibrate, sending ripples out through the water, sending sound out through the mouth. No effort. No need to try. You can let that image dissolve whenever you want. Coming back to noticing this bigger outline that you're taking up now, this bigger you, the physical body in space. Or maybe it feels smaller. Maybe that landscape where the water was, maybe that was really big. And now you feel like you're coming in and becoming a little more small. Imagining that you're limited now by the outline of your skin. And take a moment or two to just reorient back to the room that you're in, noticing sound, texture. Smells or temperature. Like you're coloring in with a bit by bit more clarity of the physical body in space. You're creating the outline, you're filling it in, you're feeling the warmth of your own skin, the presence of your own bones laying there on the floor, your volume. And you're welcome to stay here in a Shavasana sort of meditation. You could transition to a seated meditation. There's no rush whatsoever. And there's nothing that you should do. You're just resting in simple awareness, resting in pure being. Inviting all of you to be here. All of the parts, known and unknown. All of the selves, all of the ancestors, all of these influences. maybe a sense that rather than this whole gaggle of characters around you, that it's all contained within you. That the known and the unknown, none of it's overwhelming. It's just, it's already here. I had the bizarre feeling when I was setting up my altar for Dia de los Muertos. I was like, shit, it's gonna get crowded. I've like sadly have like a lot of new people joining on the altar space, and I was like, shit, there's not going to be enough room. Everyone's coming over tomorrow night. And I just thought that was kind of funny. You can make space for everybody. It's all already here, you know. So I'll close with a chant. And you're welcome to sit up and chant with me. Or stay right where you are. In a moment, we'll chant Om. We'll breathe in through the nose. Om Purnamita Purnamidam Purnyat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vishishyate Purnameva Vishishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti